What's up, Wizards? It's Dev, Mtg. We like it in Magic, and today we are here to take part in a time-honored MTG YouTuber tradition, and that is broad speculation. But we've been basically invited to do that by Maro himself. Mark Rosewater the other day posted this to Blogatog, and I'm going to give it to you in parts here. I had to zoom in like really kind of a lot to make sure that you could actually read this as we go along, but this is just basically a whole bunch of random teasers, some of them like really esoteric and like kind of enigmatic, you know, like, ooh, what could that possibly mean? But today we're going to go over every single one of these. Now, the other day, I released a video that's all the sort of hard information, the things that we know about Ikoria. And if you want to check that out, make sure to do it. But I didn't do much speculating in that video, so I'm really happy to get on my tinfoil cap, do a little bit of exactly that, speculation today. Now, one thing I want to point out is that in that video, I said that previews start on March 26th is when we'll get our first spoilers, because until last week, that's what all the WPN information said. Some of the other Wizards information said that on an official level. And Maro even said that he originally posted March 26th in his article and then changed it as soon as he found out that he had posted the wrong date. So I will say this, though. Even though he says right here at the very beginning, previews for Ikoria don't start until April 2nd. I still think maybe I'm not going to guarantee anything, obviously. I don't know anything, but I would still kind of just just watch on March 22nd or 26th to see if anything happens. I would just make sure, because this is a week after March 26th, but maybe this is the official preview date start of preview season, but maybe we'll get some spoilers or some leaks in big fat air quotes with a /S Sark mark right after it. Some leaks on the 26th. But again, who knows? Who knows if that'll actually happen? That's our first bit of speculation. But he does say here they don't start until April 2nd. But I've been getting a lot of requests from people cooped up at home that are eager for any content. So I decided to do something I used to do all the time back in my column in The Duelist. Love The Duelist. I'm going to be giving you a Maro teaser where I give tiny hints of things to come. Note, I'm only giving you partial information. The following can be found in Ikoria. Let's start here with Magic's 7th egg. I'm not going to talk too much about this. It turns out that if you actually, if you go to Scryfall and you just put egg in the search bar, you get like 9 search results. So that's kind of weird that he's calling it the 7th egg. You got your Rook eggs and you got your golden eggs, and there's there's a bunch of them, but there appear to already be more than 7. And he's also, I don't think, talking about Arkham's Astrolabe, Chromatic Star, Chromatic Sphere, and other things that we call eggs in that way, because we often refer to those artifacts as eggs. I think he's actually talking about an actual, like a real egg, like an egg that a chicken poops. I guess a chicken doesn't poop eggs. An egg that a chicken would lay. But anyway, again, I think he's talking about a god-honest egg here. And maybe he miscounted or something. I'm not really sure, but maybe he could be talking about a Chromatic Star type artifact. Currently, Arkham's Astrolabe is a problem card in multiple formats, so if they print another card like that in the standard, we'll see what happens. But I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next one. A card with the text 4 or more times this game. I would bet money that this is if you've mutated a creature 4 or more times this game. Again, I shouldn't have to say this on every entry. It should just be self-evident. But I have no evidence of that. I have no evidence of anything that I'll speculate on in this video. But that's half the fun, is, tearing apart my speculation and going to the comment section and telling me what your speculation on this is. But I would bet that this features the key mechanic of the set, which is mutate. But it could be anything. It could, if you attacked 4 more times this game, if you destroyed one of your opponent's creatures 4 more times, if you played lands 4 more times this game, it would say if you've played 4 more lands this game. It would probably say that. But still, 100% I'm going to go with mutate on this one. I would say if you've mutated 4 more times this game, you win the game, but that seems like a bit much. It really does. 4 is pretty low for a you win the game clause. So we'll see. We'll see about that, but again, my money's on mutate. Moving on to the next bullet point. A card with the text total power 10 or less. So I got 2 takes. on this one. I think it might be a spell that you can only cast if your creatures have total power 10 or less. That might be a thing. Or you might choose a number of creatures that you control with total power 10 or less. And that's probably the one that I'd lean towards. Control, choose number of creatures you control, total power 10 or less, do this. But like what is this? I'm not actually sure. But again, it could also be, cast this spell only if your creatures have total power 10 or less. And it may be some kind of like huge, anthem of some kind, or like an overrun effect, I would say. But again, it's one of those two things, and I don't think there's too much wiggle room for any other thing. But again, actually, there's probably a lot of design space on these 5 words in quotes here. But again, my money is on choose a total number of creatures you control that have total power 10 or less. But moving on here, Magic's largest power toughness granting aura. People have 2 takes on this. There's the idea that it's literally going to be like something bigger than Eldrazi Conscription and gives like more than +10/+10. And then there's the funny take on it in that it's going to be huge. Like it's going to be the box topper, so it's literally large. The card itself is very big. Which that would be a very Maro thing to do. When you're talking about Mark Rosewater, you have to look at things from that angle. So it's entirely possible that it's the box topper, but I doubt it. I think they're actually talking about something that gives like +15, +15, +13. I actually think my true speculation is +20, +20, just plus the opponent's starting life total. I think that might be what it is. In which case, Storm Herald, you might want to crack that out of your bulk binder, your bulk box, because Storm Herald might be a really playable card, depending on what the rest of the text on this card is. It'd be funny if they actually tied in somehow the last 2 bullet points. Magic's largest power toughness granting aura and a card with the text total power 10 or less. You can only have creatures total power 10 or less and cast this spell, and it's this power toughness granting aura. I wonder that about a few of these bullet points. If they tie into one another in some way. But we'll talk more about that as we move on. Now, moving on to the next bullet point. A card with the text, X is the number of times this creature has mutated. This is kind of interesting. I think this might be on an aura, unless he's paraphrasing the text of the card, because it would say X is the number of times and then the actual name of the creature has mutated. I think that if it were an actual creature he's quoting the text of, it would actually say the name of the creature. But instead, it could be an aura, or probably not an equipment, but very, very likely an aura of some kind. And that might be interesting because who knows what X is? It might be a power toughness boost. It might be damage. Every time the creature mutates, it deals more and more damage. Which is probably what I'd put my money on, all things considered. But this could be, just like all the other bullet points, this could be literally anything. But I guess I'd like it if it just, if it did X damage every time it mutated, where X is the number of times it's mutated that game. I think that'd be really cool. But moving on. Magic's 3rd and 4th card with 0 is even reminder text. So there's only been 2 so far in the history of Magic, and we get 2 more in this set. So that's kind of interesting. What was the last one? Like Endless one? That one? Whichever one, people would say like, oh, the joke was like, oh, I can't even with this. That thing. It was in the last like Eldrazi set, one of the Zendikar ones. But anyway, that's the last time I remember seeing 0's even reminder text on a thing. But this, it could tie into a mechanic. That's entirely possible. But one way or the other, you're probably choosing numbers or choosing even or odd for these cards. And it's just really interesting that there are 2 of them. If there were just one of them, that would be one thing to speculate on. But the fact that there are 2 of them, do they tie into one another somehow? Are they a cycle of some kind? Just these 2 cards? Are they some kind of legendary creatures that tie in with one another in the story? Are they planeswalkers that have you choose numbers? Like, I have no idea. No one does with what's going on with this entry in particular, but that's true of every entry. I just think, again, that it's really, I think, says a lot. I'm just not sure what it's saying, but it says a lot that we've only had 2 up to now, and we get 2 more. We double the number of cards with this reminder text in this one set. So does it have something to do with the set mechanic or what? We'll see. But moving on to 3 cards with the text, different names. I got nothing on this one, because these cards could be completely disparate in their function. You know, they might not be part of a cycle, or they might not feature a mechanic of any kind. They might just there might just happen to be 3 cards with the text different names. You know, like Guardian Project, for instance. You know, well, does that say different names? Actually, no. No, I don't think it does, actually. But in any case, this, I think, it has a better chance of tying into a set mechanic than the last bullet point entry. But this one, you could speculate on all day. It's just insanely vague. But I think it is interesting how much design space is inherent in just these 2 words that are in quotes here. Different names. You know, because that really could, it's hard to say. It's impossibly hard to say what any of those cards could possibly be. But again, I think there's a much greater chance that they tie in with a set mechanic of some kind than the last bullet point. Up next, though, there's 12 different types of counters. 12 types of counters. Now, there's an interesting thing. Up till now, I've mostly been speculating, be like, I don't know, who knows, nobody knows. So there hasn't been a ton of value outside of some very broad and vague speculation. But with this one, I actually have like an interesting piece of information. It says there are 12 types of different counters. Well, there are currently like 11 evergreen keyword abilities in Magic. So, right? And we know that 4 shadow counters are going to be a thing, so that makes 12. There's also loyalty counters, and I imagine they'll be in the set, so I guess that'd be 13, right? But still, we might just not be using all the keyword abilities. There might be 10 keyword ability counters, because that would be a nice even number. That would kind of make sense. I could see that, especially considering there are apparently double-sided keyword cards in this set that they're going to give you in pre-release packs and whatnot. So if they're double-sided, that means there's probably an even number of them. So it would make sense if they cut it down to 10 keyword abilities for Mutate, is my speculation at least. And then loyalty counters and 4 shadow counters. So that'd be 12 different kind of counters right there in the set. I think that might be what this is about. This is just telling us Mutate will be keyword abilities, but we'll see. I think if it's not keyword abilities, then 12 counters is ridiculous. I mean, that's just absolutely crazy. Probably doesn't really work anywhere outside of the digital space, but they're probably counting on that. Yuck, yuck, waka waka. But in any case, I'm pretty sure that these are going to be keyword abilities, as evidenced by the fact there are currently 11 of them, and all they have to do is cut one out. Like reach or something. Just cut one out. It'll be fine. But anyway, that's, again, some actual information involved in that one. Let's move on. There's also a card that says, choose a kind of counter at random. So if there are 12 kinds of counters, then obviously this might be tough. But it's probably just among counters that are on the battlefield at the time. So, you know, this is probably I imagine this is kind of a lame card. But maybe in, you know, standard play at the higher levels, the only kind of counter on the battlefield is going to be, you know, a loyalty counter most of the time, or, you know, occasionally a +1 counter as a +1/+1 counter as well. So who knows how this will shake out. I'm just not sure that choose a kind of counter at random is going to be on a particularly high impact card, because having to choose things at random is almost never good. Next up, there's a card with the text, remove 8 4 shadow counters. Now, that's, what the heck are 4 shadow counters? Who knows, right? This is just a way of kind of spoiling the fact that these counters exist in this set, in this world. So what the heck? What could that possibly be? And why is there a card with the text remove 8? That seems like a lot, doesn't it? But maybe removing 8 just produces some like ridiculous effect on this card, you know, win the game or something. So it's actually a lot harder to get 4 shadow counters than this number would have you believe. But again, that's just all complete speculation. Who knows? I have no idea. I'm talking out of my butt on this one and a lot of these, but at the same time, I mean, the purpose of these, you know, him giving us this information was for us to just go crazy and speculate on it, and they'll just laugh from the balcony, from the rafters. They'll plebeians. They have no idea what they're talking about, and that's I'm going to partake in that. Why not? I'm having a lot of fun with it. But remove 8 foreshadow counters. When it comes to foreshadow counters, that could be what goes into the word foreshadow, right? Like, could it be something like, you know, put counters on something, and then when all those counters are gone, then something happens. You know, like you play a creature and that creature has X number of foreshadow counters on them. You remove one every upkeep, and then when you're done, you draw a bunch of cards or something. You know, you foreshadowed that would happen. That's probably what it is that these counters either go on or come off, and then when X number go on or come off of a creature or some other permanent, then something happens, is my idea. But we'll see. Next up, a cycle that players have been asking us to make for over 10 years. He saved this one for last. And there's a reason for it, just because, actually he didn't save it for last, there's a bunch of creature types after this, but still, this is the last, like, real bullet point, and this is the one that people have been speculating on the most. I'd say the most common speculation that I've seen so far is that they'll be finishing the, either the Grove of the Burn Willows cycle, or the River of Tears, I think is what it was called. That was also in Future Sight. They might be finishing that cycle. They might be finishing the Horizon Canopy cycle, the other allied colored lands in the Canopy cycle. But note that this doesn't specifically say that they are finishing a cycle. It just says that there is a cycle that players have been asking us to make. Now that could still, to be honest, that could still mean Grove of the Burn Willows, allied Horizon Canopies. It could mean anything, because they haven't made that cycle yet. They've just made one card for each of the cycles. So they could be finishing them. It's purposefully vague. But they also could be making a brand new cycle just due to the language he used. And that I just have no freaking clue about. Over 10 years means that we are in, I think, like Shards of Alara territory, something like that. Something like just after 10 years, you get stuff like Lorwyn and Shadowmoor and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure. Magic, 2010, 2011. And I just have no idea what this could be. I mean, what cycle have people been, like, super hot about since those days, other than lands, If I had to guess, I would still say this is some kind of land cycle. I would imagine this is a land cycle, but it doesn't have to be. It might just be one card per color, and they all do some kind of either color hosing thing, or maybe, this is another piece of speculation, that it's a cycle that gives each color a way to deal with emblems from Planeswalkers. People have been really asking for that forever, and Planeswalkers have been around for about 12 years, something like that. But we'll have to wait and see. But this will finish up here with the creature types, which are definitely worth getting, like, super hype about. In addition, Ikoria has creatures with the following creature types. Dinosaur Turtle. That's awesome. That's so awesome. Dinosaur Turtle, which reminds me of, like, does anybody else remember, like, when the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles went back in time to, like, the prehistoric era? And there was that, like, snapping turtle thing with, like, a super spiny shell. Am I the only one in the world who remembers that? That's what it makes me think of. But up next is Shark Beast. There's also a Shark Beast, which, I mean, I'm not super excited about, but I do think that the creature type Beast is interesting, because there's been speculation that this is a Beast tribal set. So him putting Beast in here, it could be a red herring. I mean, there's Beasts in just about every set. So, but he could also be signaling that there is in fact a very heavy emphasis on beasts in this set. But Shark Beast, that's kind of neat, especially if it's like a walking around on land Shark Beast. I want that. Next up is the one that I am most hype about, like, by far, and that's Demon Kraken. Could this be Cthulhu? Are we getting Cthulhu in this set, or like some version of Cthulhu? This Demon Kraken those are two amazing creature types. I hope that it's possible to play it in the Kalia deck, but I doubt it. It's probably going to have blue in it or something. But I still, I want to, maybe we'll just play 4-color Kalia. Screw it, right? It's possible. Plus, we get another thing for Serpent of Yawning Depths, the Kraken that makes it's a serpent that makes Krakens and serpents and stuff unblockable. So another card for that deck. I'm super hyped about Demon Kraken. I cannot deny that's going to be awesome. But here's another one, Elemental Otter. There's a lot of people excited about this. Are there any otters in Magic? Are there? Actually, let's actually find out. I'm going to go to Scryfall right here as I record this video and just put in Otter into Scryfall. Safi Eric's daughter. Maro Glime Blotter. Vidalkin Plotter. So no, I don't believe that we have any eggs. Or any otters in Magic history. So that's cool. We get our first otter, and otters are dope. Everybody likes otters. They're the dogs of the water. So that's pretty cool. We also get another Brushwag. Brushwag coming back. What's up? It's probably not the original Brushwag, but a lot of people have very fond memories of Brushwag. It's super silly. It's a silly creature on a lot of levels. It's won a lot of games for a lot of people in the very distant past. But we're getting another Brushwag. That's freaking awesome. There's also Hellion Horror, which are the same thing. Actually, like, Hellions often tend to be these big, like, hell worms. So a Hellion Horror is a really cool creature type. You show me demons and horrors and stuff, and I will support those creature types forever. I would love to make demon tribal, horror tribal, or nightmare tribal, and we might get a chance to do it because we're also getting a nightmare squirrel. We're getting a nightmare squirrel, everybody. That's the last one. He saved that one for last in the creature types because Maro has a special affinity for squirrels. But what if that's an ability in the set? Affinity for squirrels? That'd be pretty sweet. But a nightmare squirrel is dope. I want to make a nightmare tribal deck, But what could a squirrel do? A lot of people are freaking out. There's going to be a black bordered squirrel again for the first time in forever. For freaking ever. But it's actually happening. And I bet it's going to be good, man. Mark Rosewater's lead design, and he loves squirrels. I don't think he'd print a crap squirrel into a standard legal set for the first time in forever. No, I think it's going to be a special squirrel. A special little buddy nightmare squirrel. What's that going to look like? Is it just going to look like, oh my god, have I forgotten the name of it? Infernal Spawn. Oh no. Let me go back to Scryfall. Infernal Spawn. What do you oh no, Infernal's not a word, but Infernal is. I need to learn to type. Infernal Spawn of Evil. Okay, and also Infernal Spawn of Evil. But yeah, almost nailed it. Maybe it's just going to be that card. Right. So, in any case, that's all so far. And again, he reiterates at the end here that its previews are going to begin on April 2nd. But again, I don't know, man. He might be being slippery. It's possible, but he made a point to reiterate, so maybe they are pushing it back by a week. But yeah, I love these creature types. I just want to end on that real quick. Just another quick note about these. My wife and I were talking about these, and we had the thought that which creature type you're most excited about is some real Sorting Hat stuff. I'm pretty sure Dinosaur Turtle is Gryffindor, although maybe Shark Beast is I'll go Dinosaur Turtle for Gryffindor. Demon Kraken is probably Slytherin. Elemental Otter is definitely some Hufflepuff tribe. Right. And then I'd say Nightmare Squirrel is probably Ravenclaw. That screams Ravenclaw to me. But in any case, just tell me which one you're most excited for. Again, a surprising amount of people are down for Elemental Otter. Demon Kraken. I am Team Demon Kraken all the way. What hashtag team are you on, bro? Blah blah. Content creator jargon. Talk that you I hate to do it, but do seriously, I'm interested. I want to know like which one wins. So let me know. Give me some data down there in the comment section. Which creature type are you most excited for? And which of these bullet points are you most excited for? And what's your take on it? Because a lot of these are like really interesting, really teasy. A good selection of teasers from Maro, the master of doing so this time around. But again, let me know how you feel about not only my takes, but like what are your takes on all of these teases? And let's put our heads together on it and see what happens, because it looks like we're going to have an extra week before we get the spoilers from what we originally thought. But that just gives us more time to do jank and standard, which is what we're going to be doing here on the channel. Tomorrow I'm going to be putting out the final tier list of standard decks for Theros Beyond Death Standard. And it's going to be like pretty different from the one at the beginning of the season. So make sure you're subscribed for that, or just check out the channel in the next day or two, because that video should be going up in the next 24 hours by the time this video is uploaded. But I guess I'm pretty much done for this one. Just make sure to do all the things, like, subscribe if you haven't done it yet. Check out the Patreon, $1 a month. Let you vote on what decks and content we do and stuff around here. There are other perks, but $1 a month's really all I ask from you. And it's the best way to support the channel right now. And it really helps out a lot. But I guess that's it. Just let me know how you felt about all the things down there in the comment section. There's an awful lot to talk about, so I'll see you down there. I'm Dev from The Place. Thanks for watching, my wizards. Spread love and be kind.